Hi, it's yours truly, Pastor Marty from the Afternoon Drive. From time to time, people actually do ask me if I really pastor a church, and the answer is yes. I pastor here in Macon, Georgia. This is the Midway Baptist Church, just outside Macon, a little town called Lizella. But I really am the pastor. I'd love to have you come and pay us a visit sometime. You can look us up online. MidwayBaptistChurch.net. That's MidwayBaptistChurch.net. I'd love to meet you. I'll save you a seat. When we talk about the subject of illegal immigration, there's always somebody who says something to me like this, but Pastor Marty, Jesus helped people. He helped the poor. He helped the downtrodden. He would want us to feed them, to help them. That's a separate issue because when we talk about what's happening on our southern border, is it really the destitute that are coming across? Is it really people fleeing a hostile place? Are they really fleeing a life of poverty, of crime, etc.? Or is there something else taking place? Can we talk about that one of our enemies has already placed an army inside the United States through our southern border? Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth. Somebody to the top of the line.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty, and this is the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That gives you notification of my rants, my ravings, and my undeniably flawless reasonings. Hey, please like and share this video. That's how we get the word out that we're here. Please share it on your social media platforms. That's how we grow our audience. Thank you so much for being a part of the Afternoon Drive. I see men, no women, no children. They're certainly not malnourished. These are healthy men. I didn't know that the United States bordered China. As of February 2023, we have caught 57,000 Asian males from China trying to get into the United States through the southern border. This is what we have caught. This is who we have detained, apprehended. My question is, did we send them back to their country of origin? Did we do a catch and release and give them a court date like we do the other illegals who come in, and then let them filter into the United States, never to see or hear from them again? But let's just play a suppose. Let's suppose they did the right thing and sent these 57,000 men back to their country of origin. Now, this is just what's been caught, 57,000, since Joe Biden assumed the presidency. We certainly know that illegal immigration and border crossing are up 100-fold under his administration, and Donald Trump and his administration had the border locked down and under control. That said, if they caught 57,000, we'll keep it really conservative. 50,000 got in. 50,000 got in. Now again, you didn't see any women, you didn't see any children. These weren't poor, they weren't old, they weren't feeble, they weren't infirmed. These were young, able-bodied men. They're certainly in no way looking like they are malnourished, been beaten, been mistreated. They look healthy. They look fit. 50,000. Imagine that in our nation right now. And they can be scattered across the nation. You understand that 50,000 of them, you could divide them up into 50 groups of 1,000. And those 50 groups could overtake 50 cities. You say, now, Pastor Marty, come on now. All right, you got to get your head out of the movies and thinking like movies like Red Dawn, where, the enemy parachutes in and somehow, they manage to get tanks over here and bazookas and their Air Force arrives as well and helicopters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You think about what's happened in our nation back just a couple of summers ago during the George Floyd mostly peaceful protest riots, and how literally a few hundred people in the streets brought major cities to their knees. They would overtake police stations. They would set police cars on fire. Now you take 1,000 trained Chinese soldiers and just get in their hands automatic weapons, which wouldn't be hard to bring up through the southern border. Give them each an automatic weapon, some grenades, and those 1,000 men could overtake a city like Detroit, Cincinnati, Chicago, Ohio. In New York City, the police are being overwhelmed by illegal immigrant street punks. Punks roaming around just in groups of 4 or 5 with a claw hammer are able to take out police officers in the city of New York. Do you understand that these guys who work in law enforcement, and I support the blue line, but do you understand that they are not trained to go up against an army? And you put 50,000 of these trained soldiers in our country, let them disperse into San Francisco, into Los Angeles, into moderate-sized cities. This is Macon, Georgia. I can tell you that the law enforcement in this part of Georgia would not be equipped to handle 1,000 or 2,000 trained enemy combatants. Think about that. And then as you get ready to make your decision on voting, you better think the southern border. You better think not only about the candidate that can close the southern border, but the candidate that is prepared that once that southern border is closed, we need to start gathering up all these people who came in here and sending them back to their country of origin. We are literally like the Trojan horse. We have allowed the enemy inside the gate. Something to seriously think about, to consider. There is a reason the framers of our Constitution, the founders of our government, gave us the Second Amendment. And despite what Obama, Biden, and other Democrats try to say, we're not going to take your shotguns, you'll be able to go squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting, the Second Amendment was not given to us so that we could go hunting. The Second Amendment was given to us as an enshrined right so that we could protect ourselves from tyranny, so that we could organize and fend off and defend the homeland. That's what it was given to us for. Did you know that the Japanese had several plans in place as to how to invade the United States during World War II? There were Japanese submarines that were spotted and destroyed off the West Coast and off the East Coast, along with German U-boats as well. The Germans were simply observing what was coming in and out of our harbors, but the Japanese were actually trying to plan out an invasion of the country, and they were heavily favoring the West Coast, coming in off the Pacific Ocean. But what was revealed after the war, when their plans were discovered, what was revealed is what held them up from doing that They didn't know how many private citizens were armed. Bump, ba-dum, bump. That's true, that's fact. They did not know how many private citizens were exercising their Second Amendment rights, and that stopped the Japanese from invading. If there's anything that gives pause to the, shall we say, current invaders, which now try to walk among us, they don't know where all the weapons are. There is a reason our forefathers gave us the Second Amendment. So now let's put this in some clear perspective based on things that are actually happening right now in the world. We're involved in the Russian-Ukraine conflict, of which we have a, quote, bipartisan group of politicians who are really putting the border bill with the foreign aid, which means let's continue to give grift to Zelensky and the oligarchs of Ukraine in a war they cannot win, so that we can keep fighting a proxy war with Russia, thus keeping the military-industrial complex wheels rolling. We have Israel versus Hamas. We have Nikki Haley wanting us to invade and take out the country of Iran. We have China saber-rattling with Taiwan. Everywhere we look under the current administration, we are a breath away from World War III. So with all of that diversion, one, we could have enemy combatants among us because we have an open southern border. And I'm not just talking about Asian men. What about Middle Eastern men? What about European men? We keep saber-rattling and saying that Putin is the big bad wolf and Tucker Carlson is some type of traitor for going over there and talking to him. It's obvious now that our border agents are not just stopping people who speak Espanol, but Mandarin Chinese. Wonder how many of them speak Russian or Arabic. And you're not being told. I'm not being told. And again, I watched those summer caravans last year. The first thing that jumped out at me as I'm watching it, gee, they've all got, name brands on. They've got Adidas t-shirts. They've got Nike sneakers. They all had really nice cell phones. They were male. They were young. They were healthy. It's not the same image that Camilla thinks she's a Hottie Harris tries to paint when she talks about the border and she misquotes the plaque at the Statue of Liberty. Give us your poor, your huddled masses. Give us your immigrants. That's not what's happening at our southern border. And it's time for you moderate Republicans to understand that. It's time for you middle-of-the-road moderate Democrats to understand that. And before you throw your weight behind, we got to have a Nikki Haley because Donald Trump tweets mean things. I can promise you this. If the enemy walks among us and has any ideas of trying or starting anything from inside, do you really think that the moderate politician is, number one, going to be able to stop it? And number two, who do you think the enemy combatants within are going to go for? Who is it that will be easy for them to control and to force to capitulate? It is important that we understand moving forward, national sovereignty is not about isolation. It's not about cutting ourselves off from the rest of the world. It's not about throwing up this brick wall saying that we hate the people on the other side. Every night before I go to bed, I have a routine. I walk through the house, make sure that lights are off that need to be off, and that doors are locked. I don't lock my doors because I hate all of my neighbors. I lock my doors because I love my family. It's not about keeping out someone who lives next door that I actually like. It's about protecting the people inside who I love. That's why the border issue is important.